Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Princess and Friends. Guys, I am back today with an absolutely intriguing, enlightening story from a very, very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, my darling?
Hi, I'm Tanika and I'm a single mum of two from Birmingham and I'm a close protection officer as a profession.
Oh, babes, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And I know it's been even a journey emotionally for you to be here today. So I want you to know if you need to stop or anything like that, you just let me know, because honestly, I'm so proud of you for being here.
Me. Thank you for allowing me to share this story so much.
It's okay, sis. It's okay. So do you know what, sis? We're just gonna jump straight into it because I can see you're bursting with emotion. So talk to me about your story. Talk to me about why you're here.
Well, I'm a single mum of two. Probably never did things right as a mum, which I can take accountability for 110%, because I do believe that kids do lead by example. At 18, when I had my first child, I didn't definitively know, Princess, where life was going to take me, how life was going to take me, and what would come out at the end of it. But I still made the decision to have this child at 18, despite a lot of people in my ear saying, don't have her, you still got a whole life to live. I knew that me having her, growing up in a community and the area I kind of did in Birmingham, was a saviour. Mm-hmm. Having her was something that saved me. Hasn't always gone hunky-dory. Mm-hmm. I mean, there has been times in our relationship as mother and daughter has been volatile until point where police have had to be intercepted into it. But I'm here today because I've been served on a child protection order with pre-court proceedings in which I'll be damned if they think they're going to take my children without a fight, given a system that leaves me with no manual on how to be a parent. And that is my argument and fight today. Okay. There's 1,000 people out there that I could say deserve the help and need the help and should have their kids taken away. And by one outrage of an argument, you want to take my children. I am the highest bidder for those kids and will always be the highest bidder for them children, and that's on God. Mm-hmm. My daughter, she's a teenager, like any other teenager, and I think this is where I kind of forgot my role as being a parent, because it was almost like I was her friend, more than being her mum or her protector. I was more her friend and an enabler in terms of when she was misbehaving. It was more like I was reprimanding my children with a reward, and to the point where it became a norm to my oldest daughter. And she got to 11 and she was like, well, fuck it, if I can walk all over mum, I'll walk all over mum. Do you get what I mean? Mm-hmm. It got to that stage until I started. My child was facing a situation that I never thought for a mum, and there's going to be thousands of people that will watch this, and there's going to be thousands of people that know me, know my character, and not for a second did I think I would be faced where I had to protect my child from sending an indecent image on Snapchat. And like I said, a lot of people will see this, and a lot of people do know me and know what I'm about, and that's something that don't sit easy with me.
So what was happening in that situation? Come closer to the mic.
She was kind of with school, with friendship groups, and I suppose with growing up as a teenager, she was easily infiltrated on this hype of social media. And it was like, my friend sent a picture to this boy because he likes her. But then it was like, but your friend don't know how damaging that can be to her reputation. And this was my point. And this is where me and my daughter had the biggest breakdown of communication, and hence why I was served on a child protection order, because those things don't stand lightly with me. Mm-hmm. She was caught sending a picture. While the picture is still deemed as indecent from the police because she is a minor, she was clothed, but it still didn't sit right with me, the receiving and the reciprocating of the messages. With that, as a mum, maybe I should have called out for help then and more stood on business then. But I kind of took matters into my own hands and tried to deal with it my own hands.
What did that look like?
In which it was it was just volatile. We was just fighting. We was just arguing. But yet still, she was still continuing the same behaviour. So then that's where I realised as a parent, well, me barking after her, she's still rebelling. So then that's when I had to rain check myself as a parent and say, well, I am the problem, because if I'm reprimanding her for doing something wrong and she's still continuing to do it, maybe Tanika, it's your teaching skills as a parent. And that's where I had to bring myself back down, and I had to learn. I had to go on a psychology degree, and I come out with a 2-1. I come out with a 2-1.
Well done, sis.
I come out with a 2-1. Psychology was never in my bones. It was never in my curriculum, because I'm events management. That was my profession before, events management, catering, hospitality. So I jumped straight out of that to go into a psychology degree, just so that I could learn to understand and assess the needs. I mean, throughout that time, we've had hiccups. We've had plenty of hiccups. My kid's grandma passed away in 2019, which had an impact also on my kids. But as well as their grandmother passing away, I am actually the mother of the child that was on the news on the 30th of October 2020 for the house fire that was in Birmingham, with the 4 children that was rescued from the house fire. I'm a mayor's mum.
So what?
I'm a mayor's mum.
So do you want to tell us what happened with that house fire?
My daughter went to her auntie's for the evening. Her auntie thought that it was okay to leave my child in the house, not alone my child, but her 4 children in the house, in which a perpetrator then went to the house and set the house alight with my daughter in the house, in which that perpetrator has now been charged and is in prison for arson and 4 counts of attempted murder on 4 minors. That in itself, that changed my whole life. I woke up one morning living in a tower block on the 5th floor, and my daughter tried to jump out the window. Now, when the social services asked my child why she tried to jump out the window, she said, because that's the way I got out of the fire. From then, I've had no help from the system. I had to declare myself homeless in order to get out of there because of the safeguarding of my daughter. I had to declare myself homeless, which was another risk I took, because declaring myself homeless to actually being homeless are 2 different things. And I intentionally declared myself homeless because if I didn't declare myself homeless, my child was going to die, and it was going to be throughout my control. So with that being said, that changed our whole life, because we then also went into witness protection, because I was coming out of my house, my tyres was getting slashed. There was people waiting outside my daughter's school threatening my daughter if she gives evidence. They'll come from my whole family. So with that being said, I made myself intentionally homeless, and then I phoned the police back and I said, you have to help me, you have to help me, in which they helped me by writing a supporting letter, in which I went into temporary accommodation. When I went into temporary accommodation, I was then offered the property that I then therefore live in now. The property wasn't adequate enough, given that we live in a 2-bedroom and there's 3 of us. It wasn't adequate enough, but at the time, as a mum, I said any bit of security for my children is better than nothing. Knowing that I went into a 2-bedroom, the council, the social services, the police, everyone was aware that this family should have had a 3-bedroom, given the ages of the children and the way that the ages are. I would be due to move again now anyway, because they're 16 and 14.
Right.
So I would have to be then put in for another move. I've asked social services a year ago if they could help me in regards to a move. They said they don't know nobody in the council, so they've got no loopholes. But then lo and behold, Monday, I received a letter to be told then I am band A and I've been put on a homeless emergency, which I believe is all stemmed from social services. None of it's been hunky dory. None of it's been plain sailing.
since that incident with your daughter, because that's a huge deal, and I don't want to skip over that because I can't imagine the impact it would have had on
Changed
you,
our whole lives.
your child, her sister.
Changed our whole lives. It did. It changed our whole lives, and then to be accused of being a defendant in the case because the police didn't know their ins and outs of this. It's just 4 kids was in a fire, and it was like, I've gone straight to the hospital, and as soon as I've gone to the hospital, it's like, you're under arrest. Under arrest for what? Under arrest for what? There should be no suspicion of me being a suspect in this case. I've been woken up out of my bed and told my child is in a fire, and I weren't told that my child was in a fire by West Midlands police. I was told my child was in a fire by the defendant that was charged, because they're the ones that knocked on my door. Till now, the police have not knocked on my door to tell me my kids are in a fire.
Did you know the defendant?
Yeah, I knew the defendant.
Was it an ex-partner of your?
Well,
is it your sister?
My children's godmother. It was an ex-partner of my kid's godmother. I'm not really sure the ins and outs because, as far as I'm concerned, the relationship between us and the kids, that was what stood for me. Anything outside of that, it was kind of like, that's not my business. As long as we're jamming for the children, that was my main focus. Had I known this as a parent, I tell you, damn, but for doing, I would have took all the kids, not even just my own. I would have took her kids as well.
So this was totally unexpected.
It was unexpected. My child left one night. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I got a knock on my door from the defendant's mum to say that my child's been in a fire and her daughter's been arrested, which she was arrested for 4 counts of child neglect, and the other individual was obviously arrested for arson.
Was she charged?
Yeah. But even things like that, the police don't want to tell me what she was charged with or what her conditions are. But then if I retaliate, I'm the criminal. But yet still, they had everything to tell me on the gentleman. Do you get what I mean? It's a kind of conflict, and it's kind of like the system's a shit tip. The system is a shit tip, and I wonder why the kids are the way the kids are. If the professionals here are not setting an example, how are the kids meant to take them seriously? They're gonna laugh at them. If the professionals are not, all right, nobody owes nobody respect, but we've been brought up to, if you give respect to get respect. So if that professional is a professional and they're dealing with a child away, then the child's always inevitably gonna have their back up. They are. Do you get what I mean? So you have to. No one's telling you to lick a kid's ass, but there's a mutual understanding. And one thing I've learned with children, they don't want you to lick their ass, but they just want that respect, which I can understand, because us as adults, we just want that respect. Do you get what I mean?
So it sounds like you've dealt with social services on different levels and felt failed on different levels, because you're saying that did this house fire happen before your eldest daughter started to kind of rebel?
It was all happening at the same time. So it's kind of like when my daughter was in the fire, I feel like that was also another big trigger for her, because it was kind of like, well, I've lost my nan the year before, and that's my little sister, and that's all we know. And then it's just like, shit, now I have to up and move, but I'm starting year 7, so it wasn't a bed of roses. Do you get what I mean? It wasn't a bed of roses, and all everyone can use is it was during the pandemic. That's why there was a lack of resources. But what my story is, but what if he was coming to me telling me that I had to go to the coroner's court in order to identify my child and my child's body? Maybe she just didn't survive, or maybe one of the other kids just didn't survive that fire at that time. Do you get what I mean? How would the system play it out?
So was your youngest daughter, you said your youngest daughter was trying to jump out of your
she had to,
floor window, and was that due to the trauma that she had
she
experienced?
Went to sleep when I'd brought her home from the fire, and obviously her being discharged from the hospital to bringing her home. I obviously can't say what was going through her mind and what thoughts and what's feelings, but she had a bad dream. We can put it as that. She's had a bad dream, and she's woke up, and her panic, she's just gone straight to the window. At the time we lived in a 10-floor tower block, and we was on the 5th floor, and if God wasn't good, like why I had safety locks on that window, maybe just that 2-second gap, it could have all went differently. It could have all went.
How old was she at the time?
Amaya was about, I think Amaya was 8 at the time.
Wow.
Because it was a week before her birthday.
Right.
Because her birthday is the 14th of November.
You're so young. Did you, because you, from our brief conversations, you feel very unsupported, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
I never got no help from social services. I had to basically say to them, I have to make myself homeless. I need you to write me a supporting letter, because if not, they're going to say that's intentional, and I'm going to have to go back to the same place. That's all they did, is write a letter, and from that day I never heard anything.
So not only were you being threatened, but your daughter was suffering from severe
the police have got
trauma.
all the calls when I used to be driving in my car, and I used to be 10 men surrounding my car telling me I'm a fucking grass and I'm fake and I'm this. I'm a grass over my child. But then I'm a grassing, and it, because if my child had died, what are you going to say? Rest in peace, man. Or I'm sorry for your loss. That don't work like that. It doesn't work like that. She's a child, and she didn't deserve to go through what she went through.
Did she get any counselling? Did she get any support from school or anywhere?
Nope, nothing's been set in stone. I mean, the schools, social services, the system, they're all aware of this. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's aware, because this was on the news. It was in the newspaper. It was the first page of the newspaper. Do you know what I mean? It was like it was in the news before we actually knew what definitively happened in that fire. Right. So it was like everybody knew. Do you get what I mean? And nothing, if anything, the only thing that they've offered is protecting the woman that left my child in the house. That's the only thing that they've protected. And because they've moved her out now, she's nowhere to be seen. Right. Do you know what I mean? She's nowhere to be seen. Right. But then, yet still, I got told that if I retracted my daughter's statement, that was going to hold me and it was going to warrant an arrest for me, because I would then be deemed as a hostile witness due to the fact of me retracting her statement because of the safeguarding. Because I said, you ain't put nothing in place. Now I'm going to collect my daughter from school, and there's groups of men outside the school. Now I don't know what is going to happen, and I'm not going to put her in that situation. So here what? I'm going to retract her statement. It almost just falls that the pot just fell into her hands and the guy pleaded guilty.
Right. And at that time you didn't have any support either.
No support.
So,
I had no support.
So that was your youngest daughter, and that is also very traumatic. And then now you have your eldest daughter. You found that she's sending indecent images, and you've now said to her, look, this can't happen. And now you're getting into volatile altercations. So who reported that to social services? How were social services alerted?
I'll cut a long story short. The sending of the images, that was going back and forth for a while. But during that time of it going back and forth, my daughter was doing little things which rendered them to be called out, or for the police to be called out, but nothing was ever set in stone. Now the only thing that was set in stone was on the 2nd of January this year, is when I really had to get physical with my daughter and restrain her, because it got to the point where you've just come off of Section 18. Now, I don't know which child gets off of Section 18 in this day and age with no further action. Do you get what I mean? So for me to have got you off that charge, just because of you being in the wrong place at the wrong time, is that just disregarded? Do you know what I mean? So I've said to her, you have to come down a notch. You're in no state in this house to be throwing your weight about when you've just come out of the situation that you're in. Now, if I was such a shit mum, I still wouldn't be fighting your corner. From that day, they served me on a 72-hour child protection, the police did. So say, for example, this was like the Friday. They served me on a 72-hour protection. So then I'm due to get my kids back on the following Monday.
So both of them got taken from you?
Yeah. Both of them got taken. With that being said, when the police did come and speak to me, the police asked me, I said, look, we don't even want to take a statement from you. I said, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a perfect mum, but what I'm not going to sit here and do is take disrespect. I said, we live in a day and age where these two need to have a thick skin. And the way I expressed it, because I said to the policeman, because there was 2 Asian guys, I said, and you guys know that because of colour of skin, I said, it's harder for them, so I don't want them to go down the wrong path. And given me speaking to the police officers, saying, look, this is the area I come from, and this is why I've moved my kids out of that area, they said, look, if anything, we're going to tell the social services to be working with you. Cut a long story short, the social worker keeps on going to my daughter's schools and pulling them out of schools. Now, my youngest daughter pretty much said she's not down for it. She said, Mom, my friends are asking and they keep asking. And she goes, people are kind of not bullying her, but they're kind of moving away towards her because they're like, how come they keep coming in and pulling you out of the class? And then she's like, I'm embarrassed and I'm scared. I don't want to say nothing. So then I've therefore had to say to the social worker on a term where, don't go to my daughter's school. I don't give consent. Now, because of that, I was then advised that basically you've sent a text message to the social worker, Tanika, make a stage 1 complaint. As soon as I slapped the stage 1 complaint, and I got slapped with pre-court proceedings. So I can see their game in it. I can see their game. And now what makes it worse for them is everything that they have put in these statements. My daughter sat down and she's saying, nah, she goes, Mum, I think that obviously I'm jealous because I think that you favourite Amaya more than me, which we've had that.
This is your eldest daughter.
Which we've had that conversation. But she's saying, Mum, I didn't say that, and I didn't say that. And when she says it, I believe my child because she said, Mum, I don't know what chastising means. She goes, I don't know what that word to me. Do you get what I mean? She goes, Mum, yeah, I did say that. Obviously, I feel like you favourite Amaya more and such and such and whatnot. She said, yeah, I did say that. In which I've spoken to my elder daughter about. So with her, obviously my elder daughter being in my care now, to be honest, I see it as a cat and mouse game because I have her in my care. She's made it very clear, yeah, trouble her and she's going to come back to my care. Not only that, but she's disclosed stuff to me with social workers saying if your mum does come and collect you, or if your mum does come to you, or if your mum is around you, you're not to go, you're to call the police because she's a danger. These are the stuff that they're saying. The social worker then must have said,
But you have both of them in your care
right now. In my care right now, yeah, and they're very happy, very, very happy.
So your eldest daughter, she was staying with extended family.
Yeah.
She's now returned of her own accord.
Cut a long story short, because the extended family, which social services are aware of, was terrorising my child. Now, which this is what I don't understand. I'm the chastised one. I'm the one that's meant to be the one that's the dangerous one. Yet still the kids are happy to be in my care and refuse to be in anybody else's care. Now these are the points and the factors I'm picking out. Do you get what I mean? Like, you have made these comments, so it's either you've made these comments and they're true, or you've made these comments and they're a lie and they're based off because I made a complaint. Because had I complied and not made the stage 1 complaint, I wouldn't be here. Come on, we all know that. Put a complaint in after you've dealt with social. Well, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that, and I'm not going to be scared of social services, because if I was a criminal and if I was a bad parent, I would say it loud and proud now. I will expect the police to come and arrest me and charge me for it, in which they haven't done. I've made mistakes as a parent. Yes, I can take accountability from, and I'm probably still going to make mistakes to this day, but I'm learning.
What do you need in the way of support? Because when I'm hearing you speak, it sounds like you feel incredibly unsupported, incredibly unheard. And what do you need? Because ultimately,
what do I need right now?
You need that support.
What do I need right now? For you guys to listen. Because like I said, you'll be damned. And I'm telling you on God, if you think that you're going to take my children and give them to the highest bidder in a system full of nonsense, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So what I really want is I want all single mums here to come together and to support this. We're not always going to be right. We're not always going to be wrong. We're not always going to be perfect. We're going to have up days and we're going to have down days. You get me? But we try our best in the system that we live in. Why is it that crackheads and their kids can get the most help, and then it's people that are genuinely asking what? Because we've got a little designer one, we don't seem like we need the help. What? Because we're articulate enough, we don't seem like we need the help. We need the help. How else can you go to express that you need the help?
Do you have a good support network like this? Do you have a good support? Yeah. Do you have a good support network?
My dad's amazing. My dad's amazing.
Do the children's dads involved with them?
And the children's dads are not involved.
Do you think it would have made a difference if they were around?
They've had the opportunities. Now, what I'm not going to do as a parent is I'm not going to beg people to be in my life. If you want to be absent, that's on you. But what I know I won't do as a parent is lie to my children, because I'll give people ample of opportunities. We don't need to be together for you to jam with your kid. And I'm saying that as a mum. A man and a woman don't need to be together to have their kids be okay. Do you get what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at with their dads. It's like, in order to have that it's in order to bow down to them. And the whole reason why I am the person I am and the way I am is because I've stepped out of that domestic, and I'm not intending on. No, not going back there
So
again.
with
Definitely
with
not.
your two girls, have you noticed an age where things change in their behaviour?
When they started to hit teenage.
Right. And for mums, because when you're talking, I would be lying if I said that I hadn't heard that this type of story with teenage girls from single mums before, that there comes a certain age where girls are very easily influenced,
know what it is.
particularly where there are not male role models in the home. And that is not the fault of the mum, because you'll be damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You try and protect your kids by not having a man in the house, and then you kind of get penalised. Oh, they don't have a male role model or anyone to keep them in order, and if you do bring someone in the house, then sometimes you do get the blame for it also.
I'm proud to say my kids' dad are not active in their lives, but I know as a mum, I've picked up every role possible that their dad can do to pay for that role. And as a mum, that's all I can continue to do. I can't make excuses for absent fathers, and I'm not gonna be an excuse to make that for absent fathers. But what I can do is make sure that I put my very all into my children, and that's all I can do.
So what do you feel like? What do you feel is needed for single mothers in your predicament to be supported? What active, practical support do you think can be offered?
The system, for one, professionals need to stop abusing their role, and they need to start listening. Like I said, just because I look like this and I don't look like I need help doesn't mean that it doesn't define that I need help. And I think that is where the system are getting it fucked up, and excuse my pun, because it's like they'll see a homeless crackhead, for example, with children, and we can definitively know, look, they're going through a rough time, which they will run to go and help. And then they'll see someone like me, my clothes are Ryan. She doesn't need the help. What help could she possibly need? Do you get what I mean? And it's like, when I'm begging for the help, I'm crying out.
What help do you need?
Out for the help.
What do you need?
Definitely with my children. Definitely with my children in terms of guiding them.
Right.
Definitely with a system that we're in. I mean, the system don't do anything. It's like kids now, they're committing offences, and instead of you explaining the consequences of the offences, it's almost like you're just slapping them in prison. But that's not helping, because nobody's listening to them. And so we're going to be stuck in the same thing because nobody's listening. So do you get what I mean?
I do. Do you think if social workers played a role of actively coming in and mentoring and guiding the young people, that would help?
Read off a hymn page. I do.
Right.
I really do.
Right. But do you feel that, because when you say you need support in guiding them, supporting them, the fact is it takes a village. You are one person and you're just a mum. You are not a mum and a dad, no matter how you overcompensate for the absent parent. You're just a mum who's doing her best. So do you feel like there are groups of people that you can access to actively help you with your children?
No, because social services haven't given me no avenues in terms of everything that I've did for my children has been off my own finances and off my own back.
Right, because it sounds like you need that active support, because sometimes,
like
especially
I said,
as teens...
My daughter phoned me on the 3rd of June. And from that day, social services have contacted us twice.
So
but bear in mind, I'm the danger and I'm chastising her, but they've left this child with me and they've not battered an eyelid.
Right.
Even though the child is okay and she's happy, she said, Mum, basically, she'll tell them about herself. But it's not the point. You've got me under a child protection, but you're not doing anything now. I'm the danger, so wouldn't you want to be checking up on these? Wouldn't you want to even send the police to do a welfare check? Nothing. I've had to request these things.
So you feel that you are kind of being penalised and you kind of being victimised, because when I've spoken to you before, I know you felt heavily burdened with the responsibility of kind of fighting your corner for social services and letting them know, I am a good mum, I'm not a perfect mum and I need help. But you don't feel as though you're getting the help. You feel as though they're pointing fingers at you and saying you're not a good mum. However, now your child...
They're like, I'm not a good mum. I'm sorry to cut you. I feel like they're saying I'm not a good mum. But they've given me no options to help, if that makes sense. Whereas it's just proceedings, but what have you done in that time to help the parent? Do you get what I mean? You've done nothing, because inevitably, if social services did anything to help, I wouldn't be here today.
Right. So
I wouldn't be here today.
So you're looking for help, you're looking for support, you're looking for guidance for yourself and your kids. You're holding your hands up and you're saying, I'm not a perfect mum, but I love my children and I need help.
You will not be taking my children away, not when I've been asking for the help. And that takes a lot of pride. I asked for help because I didn't want my children going down the wrong path, and I still don't want
so
them to
now
go down
your
the wrong
daughter
path.
is with you. You've got both your children in your care now. What are your concerns? What are your key concerns with your girls in your care right now?
To be fair, it's still all new. I mean, I even said it to my solicitor yesterday. I said, it's really overwhelming. I said, I don't know how I'm to feel, how I should be feeling, because how I was feeling a couple of weeks ago is mad different to how I feel now, my thoughts and my feeling. But as a parent, I know still having them in my care, whether it's my duty of care or not, it's just to remain positive and to only get the best out of them so that they can be a better version than they was today, tomorrow. And that's all I'm trying to do. I'm not asking for no money from the system. I'm asking for shit. I'm just asking for guidance and a couple of loopholes which you professionals can't help with.
Okay.
Why is it when I've made a complaint because I'm not happy about the service, am I then served with pre-proceeding? I'm telling you, I'm not happy with the service and you're not listening, so I've had to make a complaint. So how am I penalised from something I'm not happy with? Because like I said, if I was happy, I wouldn't be here today.
Right. So I know two amazing men that are in the social service field. We've got Nana, who is in social services, and Rob, who is an active mentor, and he does a lot of amazing stuff with young people. I also know another mentor. He's amazing. His name's Andrew Fuller. So I am going to put you in touch with them, and hopefully we can have a part 2 where we sit down with an actual social worker.
There's nothing for me. I hope this part 2, becomes where I become an advocate for these young kids, especially these young females, because they're too young for one to speak their self, and maybe when they do speak, their message isn't getting across the way it should be getting across. Whereas I'll speak for them, because as a female, not even me as a mom or a young single mom, as a female, generally, it's hard. I mean, I'm sure you would agree. It's a hard life being a woman. People think it's a bed of roses, but it is actually a hard life being a woman.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get penalised for being a single mum, for being a present mum and doing your best. Sometimes because you're the present parent, you the fingers get pointed at you when your child's displaying undesirable behaviour. I've seen that a lot of the time, and there's no active practical support that you can access. So I hear you, and hopefully we can get you the help, and next time we come back we're at a different space where you're feeling more positive about your outcomes. But thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's so important that your voice is heard, and you've been really, really brave. Thank you so much, sis. I really respect you as a person, as a mum, as a woman. Your bravery is commendable, so thank you for being here. Okay, guys, it has been an absolutely emotive episode of Princess and Friends. Listen, if you're a single mum suffering anything like our sis here, please do get in touch. There's support available to you. And furthermore, I would love to hear your story. So, stay tuned, guys. We'll have a part 2 most definitely coming up, because this is not an isolated situation. I've heard several women, several parents that are struggling with their teens. We all know the climate that we're living in at the moment, and unfortunately our sis Tanika is not an anomaly. She's not on her own facing these struggles. So we need to speak about it more, and hopefully we will realize some solutions and come to some practical support that we can put in place for struggling parents. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you on the other side. Love.